What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today I thought I'd give you guys my thoughts and impressions about SSK. Now, K's got a pretty interesting kit. He's got a great leadership with the increased all-star fighter attack by 55%, which is awesome. You know, it means he's going to be buffing up all the BS and the SS characters. You know, he has a red balance. And I actually predicted that he was going to actually be the #1 meta for Guild Raid hard mode, and I was wrong. He isn't. He is strong. He's very strong. But he's just not on that level. You know, he's not as strong as Kyo when it comes to his damage, but he's still an amazing character. I mean, when you look at his core with the 30% PG rate, the critical rate buff, which is extremely important, especially considering he's got a nice increase damage by 24% on a critical hit. So having that extra critical rate is just going to increase his damage something fierce. And then, you know, the decreased cooldown of active skills by 0.4 seconds upon landing a skill on a burn target, and then increase burn damage by 90% when Kula is on the team. I actually did a run in Guild Raid last night, just goofing off, just tried it twice. I'll put a screenshot on the screen right now for you guys, and you can see that I hit 450 million, and I'll show you the card set that I used, and I didn't even have Kula on the team. So I wasn't even getting this increased burn damage by 90%. Which is a pretty awesome score. I mean, 450 million complete solo at level 30. That's not bad. That's a pretty damn decent score, but you got to play K in a certain way, and we'll talk about that here in a second, if you really want to optimize his damage. And I still need to play him a little bit more to really confirm some ideas that I have about him as far as doing the most damage. And then he has cast a shield that absorbs damage for 7 seconds when using his active skills, which is awesome. You know, we know how powerful those shields are. We know how much survivability they add. And I mean, he's going to have an insane amount of survivability on top of the damage because of that shield. That is crazy. And then, you know, it gets removed after being hit 20 times. Well, one thing about him is I took him in Guild Raid at level 10, and I could keep him alive easily. He could stay alive through the whole fight, no problem, and it's because of that shield. He just doesn't take damage when that damn thing's up, and it's on a 15-second cooldown. So in between doing your supers and your ultimates, having your hyper armor on your first skill, he's got a lot of survivability. And then he can gain power whenever he's guarding, which was pretty handy in PvP. And then as far as the skills, I mean, he's got a pretty wild set. You know, on his first skill, the first time you hit it, you're going to get super armor and hyper armor. You're going to get increased penetration. Then you got a 7% chance to reset it. And the second time you hit it, you actually get an attack buff, and then you actually can apply Infernal Flame. Now, this is really important because that's how you're going to apply dot. If you're going to use this guy in Guild Raid, you got to make sure to hit this skill twice. If you only hit it once, you're not going to apply any burn damage. You have to hit it twice. And then the second skill does stun the target, which is amazing for PvP, unless they have stun immunity like Rudy or Rugal, BS Rugal. But the increased target damage received by 26% for 7 seconds upon landing skill is very important, especially like in your Immortal Dungeons, your PvE content, because you want to be doing damage, and whenever you're spamming your skills, this is definitely one you want to put in your kit. And the third one, now this is something that's good and something that's kind of crappy about him, and that is he has Dot Explosion on his third skill. Now, don't get me wrong, Dot Explosion is freaking amazing, right? And it does deal burn damage equal to 1.8 times the remaining burn damage, but it removes the burn effect. Every time you use this skill, it's going to remove the burn. So you apply that 6-second dot from the first skill. As soon as you hit the third skill, it's going to remove it. So in Guild Raid, if you're trying to break that meter for Rugal, you don't want to hit that third skill. The only time you want to hit the third skill is when Rugal is stunned, he's sitting there. That's when you want to hit the third skill so you can do a lot more damage because you got that dot explosion. But whenever you're trying to break that meter, you really want to stay away from that skill unless you're trying to build up that PG to get to his default. And we'll talk about that in a second here. Because his default actually does have a dot effect of burn damage that lasts for 8 seconds. So you could just, use your first skill, use it twice, apply some Infernal Flame, hit the second skill to increase the target's damage received, and then hit the third skill in hopes to build up your PG fast enough, and then just do your default. Even though you're going to remove the burn from the third skill, you can still do your default, and you're just going to apply that burn again, and then afterwards you can go into your first skill, apply some more flame, and then go into your second skill. But don't use the third again because it will remove the burn. You got to be, like, if you're playing him in Guild Raid, you got to be careful of this. And, like, he is a red fighter, so he is going to have an advantage against Immortal Rock, and Rock is weak to burn. And the thing about this is, like, every time you do your dot explosion, it's going to remove burn from Immortal Rock. So that's kind of the thing that kind of sucks about it. But I've seen in the past where we've had characters that had dot explosion, say like Halloween Chris for Immortal Nyx, and yet he's still proved to be very useful because you need darkness to do more damage to Immortal Nyx. And Chris does have dot explosion that removes darkness, but you still can do really good with the character on the team. So it's probably gonna be kind of the same scenario with Kay, only Kay is a lot more powerful than Halloween Chris. Just to keep that in mind. And then his, a striker bonus, increase active team members attack by 10%, and for 10 seconds, and Nest Fighters recovers HP by 6%. So if you got Nest Fighters on the team, he's going to increase their attack and give them a bit of a heal. Now, I don't have Kay's 3PG currently on this account, so we're just going to be using the 5PG. And the 5PG won't get interrupted by Rugal. But we are going to be using Keo for a striker because Keo, if this thing ever loads, Keo does have this nice increased attack by 15% of HP is 70% or more, and then increased attack speed by 5%, decreased skill cooldown by 1 second. So when our HP gets below 70%, we're not going to have this extra attack by 15%. We got Kula on the team for that extra burn for Kay's passive, and as far as how I have him built, he is level 30, he's got 65,000 CP, and he does have all max SS Imprint Stones that belong to him. And as far as the Imprint Stones for the new SS versions, the Volume 3, they do have the double attack by 20. And then they have the decreased enemy defenses by 20% for 4 seconds. And then the second stone actually gives you an increased special signature fighter active skill by 10%, which is awesome, especially for spamming your skills. And then, of course, the extra 20% attack. And then the third, the hexagon, actually gives an increased special signature critical damage by 25%. So he's got a lot of extra critical damage, which is awesome for this character. And on top of that, I'm using this card set. I'm probably going to go ahead and change it just for this run. But this card here, I do have Transcended, and it does have an increased Balance type fighter at critical damage by 7.5%. So I'm going to get a little extra CP from having this card Transcended, and we're going to have the increased Balance type fighter critical damage by 7.5%, which is going to add on to the 25% critical damage from the Imprint Stone. I mean, if you look at Kay's stats here, and you look at my critical damage, it's at 189%. That's a lot. That's a lot. It means he's going to hit like a freaking truck, which is nuts. Now, I am running this Fest set on him. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this set off of him. And we're just going to put an Akane, because the thing is about the City of Darkness set, a lot of players don't have that set. So let's put a set that every player is going to be able to get, that's always going to be available in the game, which is going to be the Akane set. And you want to go with attack stones, by the way, for Kay, absolutely, 100%. And I will be doing some tests as far as SS Kula, as far as if you should put defensive stones or attack stones on her, do a little research. And then, of course, we got Kay's option card, which is always available in the game to add that extra burn. And if you transcended this card, I mean, the thing that sucks about a card like this is, and I talked about this in a previous video about transcending cards, is it's only going to be specifically for Kay. So if you transcend this and get stats you don't want, you're probably going to end up transcending it over and over and over again, using lots of 6-star cards, and maybe in God knows how long it'll be before you get what you want. But having that extra attack by 5% is pretty nice. So let's jump in here and let's see what we can do here. Now remember, I didn't have Kula on my team before, but I did run the City of Darkness set before on him. Okay, so we got to do that again. I was having some technical difficulties. The sound was actually cutting in and out. So the most important thing to remember whenever you're doing this is to keep the flame applied at all times, which means don't use the third skill while you're trying to break down the meter against Rugal. So we're just going to hit our first skill twice. Now we're just going to attack. We got our shield. There we go, and hit our default. And we'll get that 8 seconds of flame from the default. And now we're going to be using the third skill because we want that dot explosion. And we're going to go ahead and use our 5PG because Rugal is going to blow up on us. And since the 5PG won't get interrupted, we're going to go ahead and use it now. Now, he's going to blow up after this, but we did have a little burn applied, so hopefully we broke that meter down a little bit. Yeah, we did. We broke it down a little bit. There we go. And we should break the meter right now. Now, something about K's default is sometimes it can get a little wonky. And right now, all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to build up that PG. Oh. See, that really sucked right there. There we go. I wanted to get that ignored, or that target damage received before we hit our default, so we can apply a lot more damage. And as soon as we break that meter, that's when you want to start hitting that default. Now notice what I'm doing is I'm hitting the first skill twice. We'll hit the default. Oh, man. Now we'll hit our 5 PG. We'll break the meter right now. This isn't a perfect run by any means. You all saw that screenshot I showed up earlier, hitting over 450 million. And that wasn't even a perfect run, but I imagine with, you know, recording and everything I'm doing right now. And see right there, we actually removed the burn. We'll hit the default. Now, there we go, there we go. I thought Rugal was going to run past us, which really sucks. Ah, crap. Come on. And once Rugal, we'll go ahead and hit that default. I should have hit the default right away. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Break that meter, break that meter. There we go. And again, you know, before we did our 5 PG, we want to make sure we get that second skill to increase our target's damage received and plus have a little extra flame applied. I mean, K is a little tricky. It takes a little getting used to as far as playing him. Rugal's going to blow up now. Yep, knew he would. Get that default up. Come on, buddy. It's kind of weird he adds that little pause there. And I mean, we got 362 million. So, I mean, this was a pretty bad run, honestly. I think, you know, with recording and everything that, you know, my computer's doing right now, it's just slowing things down as far as processing all this information. Because, I mean, seriously, last night I could easily get over 400 million. So definitely not the best score out there. But K is pretty damn strong. He does have a lot of power. And you saw that he survived pretty easy. He has a lot of great survivability. He's a really, really solid character. I mean, as far as the red characters are concerned, I'm going to have to think about where I'd rank him because, I mean, he's dealing with, you know, SS Mai, SS Neo Tengo, two insane powerhouses in the red category, and not to mention Paradise Honaka. All of those characters, which are freaking insane. But if I had to guess, I would say that probably SS Mai and maybe Honaka's damage is probably better than K's. SS Neo Tengo's survivability is probably better than K's. He's kind of like in between those characters, you know, as far as like where he would actually rank, at least when it comes to the PvE content in the game. He's still going to be a god. He's still going to be absolutely insane. I wasn't using his 3PG, and that's something to keep in mind. You know, his 3PG, if we take a look at this thing here, you know, deals an additional burn damage equal to 200% of attack upon landing Harmony and Conflict. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, he adds a lot of extra damage with that 3PG, and I think that really would have made a lot of difference. I mean, again, I got 450 million doing a solo with K last night. So, I mean, that score could have even went up even more with a level 30 character if I would have had that 3PG card. And I'm pretty sure the 3PG doesn't get interrupted at all, the same as his 5PG doesn't. But, I mean, he's going to be insane in the dungeons. I mean, he's an SS character. He's going to be absolutely nutso. But you really do got to be careful of him. I mean, if you're trying to apply that flame, you want to stay away from using the third skill until you feel like you can actually use it. I mean, he's going to be really great in certain game modes like Immortal Nyx, because he does have that dot explosion, and it's the only cooldown it has is the cooldown on the skill, which is, I mean, in some game modes that's an actual benefit. As you saw in Guild Raid, it actually can be a hinder to him. But the thing is, you're still using 3 skills, right? You're still using the first skill twice, and then the second skill. So it's still 3 skills. So it's really funny how they worked out. They actually made Kay like a more of a versatile character for more game modes because of the dot explosion that has no cooldown, and because he actually has 4 skills versus 3. So, I mean, actually, he's a pretty insane character. I mean, his utility is actually quite high in the game. So let me know how y'all feeling about Kay, and I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.